What's going on, everybody? So, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black Shadow dropped just a couple days ago, and I just beat it on the Path of the Warrior difficulty. Now, this difficulty in the original 2008 Ninja Gaiden 2 was considered normal mode, but in Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, this mode is now hard mode, similar to Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2. Now let's get the Sigma stigma out of the way. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is the middle ground between the newest version of Ninja Gaiden 2, which is Sigma 2, and the original core Ninja Gaiden 2 that came out in 2008. So none of the original game's DLC is present because Team Ninja lost the source code, apparently, or it would cost them too much money to get the source code back. I'm not sure if they have to go to Tomonobu Edagaki directly and bribe him with money just to get it, or if he's hiding the source code under his bed or something, but Team Ninja apparently just doesn't want to get the source code to a much better version of Ninja Gaiden 2, but we still got Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which is sort of the remake or remaster of Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, with the personality of Ninja Gaiden 2 from 2008. And with that out of the way, we can start the review. Now, without any question, the biggest change in the long-awaited uncut version of Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, or Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, is the graphics. Ninja Gaiden has never looked this real, and the Unreal Engine 5 helps with this illusion. But on closer inspection, the human character models look a bit bland and plain at times. It seems like Ryu has makeup on, or it looks like he has the eyes of a 19-year-old, and everybody around him seems to have a very youthful face. I'm not sure if that was on purpose, but even characters like Ayane, Momiji, and Rachel sort of have a perfect complexion to the point it sort of looks jarring compared to their bodies. But I got over that pretty quickly. And besides the faces, this game is absolutely gorgeous, and the style, lighting, and overall visuals remind me of Ninja Gaiden 1 Black cinematics. But instead of the visuals only lasting a few minutes, Ryu and everything around him look perfectly stylized and realistic the entire experience. And another random detail to point out, the water in this game looks phenomenal. I haven't seen water or a body of water look this realistic, and that's most likely due to Unreal Engine 5. The graphics upgrade definitely pays off here, but there's more to this game than the visual upgrade, I think. When Team Ninja first announced Ninja Gaiden 2, the director Tomonobu Edagaki said that he wanted every battle to be a near-death experience.
So a very clear concept that we have for the sequel Ninja Gaiden 2 is, of course, to keep satisfaction and the fun you get from defeating the enemies, but also make the actual process of combat, whether you win or lose, just as fun so that you're enjoying every minute that you're actually playing the game.
Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is closer to that statement than Sigma 2 ever was, and the most important change, in my opinion, is the gameplay. The gameplay in Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is king. It's the most well-polished and cared for part of Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, and I can't stop playing it. Everything is tighter, faster, and smoother than any other 3D Ninja Gaiden game I've ever played, and that's including Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword for the Nintendo DS. Even Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge can feel clunky at times, but Gaiden 2 Black dominates with its gameplay almost too well, making certain encounters feel easier since you can maneuver around and attack from almost any angle without any hiccups. I absolutely love Ninja Gaiden 2 Black's tweaked and revised gameplay. For me, it feels better than the original Ninja Gaiden 2, which makes playing it in Mentor mode that much more exhilarating and something to look forward to. Every character feels better from their older versions in the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 days, and never felt better. Besides the gameplay, the physics in this game is kind of hilarious at times. After defeating an enemy, their bodies end up just going limp, which is kind of awesome because when Ryu does a shadow step or dodge, he can move the body to any position that he's going into, and the body usually ends up in this weird contorted position, which is kind of hilarious. So I'm a huge fan of Unreal Engine 5's physics so far. And speaking of the enemy, their AI, reaction time, strategies, and overall difficulty has been tweaked and changed drastically from Sigma 2 especially, and is closer to the original 2008 Ninja Gaiden 2. The enemy variety has been changed as well, but not too much. It's very close to Sigma 2 in that sense. So that means depending on which difficulty you're playing in, you won't see too much of a huge jump in enemy variety, unfortunately. And some areas have more enemies and some are even more empty than they used to be in Sigma 2, which makes me believe there was some kind of limit, and they had to cut some enemies from certain locations to balance out the game and focus on puzzles, which I'm a fan of. I like kind of having no music, no enemies, and just focusing on where I have to go for a little bit just to have some downtime. So Ninja Gaiden 2 Black actually has those opportunities to relax, which I'm very grateful for, and the original Ninja Gaiden Black had as well. And post Tomonobu Edagaki, Team Ninja has always tried to make Ninja Gaiden 2 feel more similar to the original Ninja Gaiden, because that was the more critically acclaimed game out of the two. But Ninja Gaiden 2 Black still has the same issue that Sigma 2 has, which is easy bosses. I fought around 18 bosses, I believe. Some chapters have 2 bosses. And sometimes the bosses are better than the originals, but for the most part they have been just as easy as they were in Sigma 2, and sometimes even easier because of the tweaked and more polished gameplay. I was just completely unstoppable, and to give an example exactly how unstoppable I was, I actually turned off my entire UI. That means I couldn't see my health gauge for 90% of the game on my first playthrough, and I only died 3 times, even with that added challenge. Now let's talk about something that a lot of people wanted from Ninja Gaiden 2, and that is the blood. In this game, there's a lot of blood, and in Sigma 2, there was a lot of purple mist. So a lot of people wanted the blood back and to get that uncut feature added back to Ninja Gaiden 2, and that's exactly what Gaiden 2 Black is. Team Ninja finally listened. But not only is the blood back, it even has its own physics. And originally, Team Ninja called Ninja Gaiden 2 a blood-stained art piece with violence, almost resembling a dance to represent that art. And with Unreal Engine 5, Team Ninja has successfully made the blood in Gaiden 2 have its own physics, which means that the blood stains walls, ceilings, and even Ryu himself. The blood can even be seen in small crevices in Ryu's suit and tiny textures in the ground. It's remarkable, and among the biggest upgrade in Gaiden 2 Black. But there are things that Team Ninja didn't touch, and that is the sound design. Voice acting, and just the general sound effects. They're all exactly the same. Maybe they've been touched up a tiny bit, or muted, or slightly enhanced. But for the most part, the soundtrack, sound effects, and voice acting is exactly the same as the original, which is kind of strange because everything looks 10 times more realistic, while it still kind of sounds cartoony. So that's sort of an issue that I had with the game. I would have preferred for Team Ninja to re-record some of the voice acting, because a lot of those voice actors are still alive and doing very well in the industry. And I wanted to hear more realistic sound effects with my Bose headphones. But unfortunately, they didn't touch any of that. So yes, the big question: is the overall difficulty better than Sigma 2's? In my experience, the difficulty has been changed enough to make Gaiden 2 Black feel like the original, while still remaining accessible, similar to Sigma 2. But sometimes Sigma 2 was too easy, and I'll talk more about the bosses in a bit. But for now, let's talk about Ninja Gaiden 2 Black's performance. The performance, for the most part, is a stable and constant 60 FPS. But when you crank it up to 120 FPS, that's where the real magic happens. That's also when you see some jitters here and there. But playing Ninja Gaiden 2 in 120 FPS is everything I ever wanted. Ninja Gaiden has never felt so fluid, fast, and pretty much easy, because your reaction times are doubled. And I played this game with an RTX 3060, and I still saw some stutters here and there because of the shader cache compile, but it's less noticeable when you have 120 FPS going. So overall, I am impressed by the performance of Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, especially while playing this game in a smooth and crisp 120 FPS, and pretty much almost constant. And besides that, there are tag missions, and the tag missions have also been revised and rebalanced. And since the extra characters are easier and better to use, similar to Ryu, the tag missions are a bit more fun to switch between characters. Usually, I would just ignore Rachel, Ayane, or Momiji while I play with Ryu, but now I like to switch between them because they sort of feel very similar with how fast they move. But back to Black 2's bosses, the difficulty for bosses have been greatly reduced, similar to Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2. And for example, there's a boss named Genshin at the beginning of the game, and everybody's talking about how you can actually Azuna drop Genshin at the beginning of Sigma 2, and you can't even touch the guy in the original Ninja Gaiden 2. Well, in Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, I Azuna dropped Genshin 3 times. That's how much faster Ryu is compared to the original game. The bosses are around 3 times easier. if I were to gauge it. So the bosses in this game are a bit disappointing, and I have to subtract some points because I did play the game in hard mode, and honestly there were some bosses that were just standing there and looking at me. I could have actually defeated one of the bosses with my eyes closed. Now when people say that, they're over exaggerating, but I actually mean that. But anyway, the second biggest change besides the graphics is the UI, and Gaiden 2 Black has a completely redone UI that allows the user to see every single item and weapon on the screen without having to decipher which weapon, nimpo, or item you're looking at with some kind of random symbol that they provide you. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black actually has a full-fledged menu system. Now, I would have actually preferred quick swapping, just like with Devil May Cry, where you can potentially have infinite combos, and I would love to see that in Ninja Gaiden 4, but I guess we just have to wait till Ninja Gaiden 4 to potentially see a quick weapon swap option opposed to this menu that freezes the entire game and halts the momentum of the gameplay. I feel like Ninja Gaiden has better momentum in terms of gameplay than games like Devil May Cry, because Devil May Cry has guns and swords, so sometimes it feels like the momentum is halted a bit. Both Ninja Gaiden, you're straight up only going swords for the most part. Well, you do have a bow and arrow, but in my opinion the momentum is a lot faster, and I would love to see a quick swap weapon option in the upcoming sequel, which I cannot wait for. But overall, Ninja Gaiden has never felt or looked better in its 15 plus year history. Even if this isn't a one-for-one remake of the original Ninja Gaiden 2 from 2008, the blood's still there and the combat has been balanced even better than the original Ninja Gaiden 2, and it feels very familiar. It's sad that the source code is gone, but there's nothing anyone can do about it, and we should all just move on and try to enjoy Ninja Gaiden 2 Black and the upcoming Ninja Gaiden 4, which millions have been asking for at the very least. And I'm just so happy to have the opportunity to actually play a new Ninja Gaiden 2 remake, and I really want Team Ninja to try to remake Ninja Gaiden 1 Black next. That game was just so amazing, and if it gets a gameplay upgrade similar to Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, I will properly be ready for the next Ninja Gaiden game. But yeah, I think this was a mostly great remaster that gets a lot right. And on its own, without thinking about the notoriously difficult Ninja Gaiden 2 from 2008, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is a very well-crafted fusion of the original core game and Sigma 2. It's not too difficult most of the time, but it's also not too easy. Even though certain bosses were as disappointing as Sigma 2's bosses, and sometimes even easier, this is balanced out with other boss battles that are right up there with the series' best. And you get all of the extras that Sigma 2 had, with the uncut blood effects being a very welcome option. But yeah, overall I give Ninja Gaiden 2 Black an 8.5 out of 10 from a critical standpoint, and a 9 out of 10 from a personal one. Playing this game was a continuous, enjoyable experience. All of the AI and enemies were extremely well crafted and reimagined. There were some missing elements in Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, but nothing that the new elements couldn't replace to make me forget about those missing elements from the original 2008 Ninja Gaiden 2. But with that said, Team Ninja did a great job with this remaster for the most part, and this remaster or remake is definitely a step in the bloody right direction and has a lot to offer. And it's also a glimpse of the bright future of the series. Even if you have your reservations, let's all try to support this game and its sequel so we can get even more Ninja Gaiden remasters and sequels in the future. But yeah guys, I highly enjoyed this game, and I'm just going to go back to playing it right now. But did you play Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, and how did you enjoy it? Let me know in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a good one. Later.